Well, it's been a minute. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm not going to do a lot of fanfare, not a ton of editing, because really I just need to talk. And as I posted on my Instagram story yesterday, this is more along the lines going to just be really a check-in on how I'm doing, uh, what's going on with the podcast, um, and more. So that's really why I'm here. I'm not, like I said, not going to put a ton of not a ton of fanfare and editing and all that into this. So, um, anyway, it has been a little over a year since you last heard from me on this podcast. Um, there's reasons for that. Um, Stuck in a rut, as I mentioned last year at this time, still sort of in that rut. It's hard to get out of. That's the first thing. The second thing really is I haven't had a whole lot to say. And ironically, this podcast is named I've Got Something to Say. Well, I haven't had a ton to say, except I've had a lot to say. And that's kind of why I'm checking in now. The mental state, mental health, we just had Mental Health Awareness Month. We're currently in Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, which I still see on social media that it gets treated like a joke. I wanted to talk about Dana White saying this whole men's mental health thing is BS. He's completely off base with that. I've made that abundantly clear on pretty much all my social platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I've made that abundantly clear that he's a piece of crap and doesn't know anything, and you can't really trust anything that a wife beater says, so do with that what you will. But that's not why I'm here to get into this. I touched on the Scott Pelley firing. If you didn't know, 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley got fired last week because of really countering his bosses on what is happening inside CBS News. I think he did the right thing. He stood up for what he believed in, which is what I'm all about. You know me. I talk about mental health. It's something I firmly believe in. And yeah, really, this. So I want to talk about this podcast for a second. And like I said, this is gonna you. If you've heard this podcast long enough, you know that these episodes often go all over the place, but you get something from them. There's two reasons why I do this podcast. Largely, number one, it's for really me, kind of like a journal, so to speak, and that's why I have the blog as well, because I not just talk, but I also write. I like writing, so it works both ways. And I'm going to have a blog post sometime this week to get my thoughts down a little more properly. And I've also, by the way, side note, been using this new app called Mirror that I jot my thoughts down on a given day. I haven't done it so much lately. I need to start doing it again because it really helps me mentally talk about the share things that I keep to myself, because I don't share everything. There's reasons I don't share everything. I won't get into those now. But that's one reason why I do this podcast. The other is in my incoherent rambling, which that's pretty much what it is a lot of the time. I just hope you get something out of it, and there's confirmation that some of you do get stuff out of these podcasts, and I do appreciate hearing that, because that's my hope. That's my hope, is that somebody gets something out of what I'm saying. But it is not easy. I'll tell you, it's not easy being in my head right now. I'm always in my head, but now it's more difficult than it probably ever has. There's just so much going through my head, and that's why, like I said, I journal. I write down things. I check in with my mood, and most days my mood is not great. It's not good. It's not great, and it's not bad. It's just kind of meh. It's not. It's not. It's not good, great, or bad. Just kind of just bleh. That's the best way I can describe it. And I think a lot of you feel that way, or I would assume some of you feel that way. It's kind of blah in terms of how we're all feeling right now. There's a lot going on in the world. The news cycle can get pretty crazy. That's why I try not to consume a lot of news. Try to stay off of the social media as much as I can, not to, bring myself to that, because the social media can be toxic, even though your algorithm can change based on what you like and what you see, like what you like and what you react to. That's why I try to stay off pretty much all forms of social media, but I do try to communicate through Instagram. That's kind of my main way of communicating now. But yeah, it's just it's not good right now. It's just a meh feeling. I feel kind of empty, kind of drained, and you may feel that way too. And if you do, just hang in there. You can weather the storm. It will get better. Trust me, it will get better. You just gotta weather the storm the best you can, and there are ways to cope. Like I said, through journaling, through talking like this, talking to somebody you trust, talking to somebody that actually cares, talking to someone that won't judge you. That's the important thing. Don't talk to people that'll judge you internally or even externally. Just talk to people you trust, people that you care about and that care about you in the same vein. That's extremely important as well. I try to do that. My circle of talking to people that care and that care about me and I care about them and vice versa is extremely small. And in a way, that's very good, because I don't want that circle. I don't want that circle to be extremely big. I don't want that to be a real big group of people. It needs to be intimate. It needs to be. It's like Jay Glazer saying, "Find your teammates. Find teammates that will be there for you and reach out to them, saying that you're having a bad day. If you're having a bad day, talk to somebody." That's really something important. And that's why, again, in large part, I do these podcasts because it's a documentation of how I'm feeling in the moment, but it's also using it to help others. That's why I do these. That's why I am so passionate about mental health. That's why we talk about it extensively, not just here, but on other social media platforms. And I get praise from people that tell me that I'm doing the right thing, that they appreciate what I have to say. And I do, I feel grateful for that. And look, I'll just say this. I am not liked by some people. And quite honestly, I don't really care. Because it doesn't bother me. It's a waste of my time to care about people that don't like me, because not everybody's going to like him. I'll tell you that right now. Not everybody is going to like you and what you say and what you do. I was just thinking last night, about 10 years ago, there was one group of people that did not like me because of what I had to say about gay people in the LGBTQ plus community. Fast forward 10 years later, there's now people that don't like me because of what I say about the president and what I say about things I'm passionate about, i.e. mental health. And that's okay. That's what's a part of life here. It's part of growing, evolving, adapting, changing your worldview. I talked about that on Instagram too. When your worldview changes, I even talked about that when I shared that it is Pride Month as well, not just Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. But on my Instagram story, I posted something along the lines that your worldview can and will change if you leave the environment you've been accustomed to. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to go one step further. When you leave the toxic little small town that you live in all your life for even just, you don't have to leave it permanently. You can leave it for a day, you can leave it for a week, you can leave it for a month, you can leave it for 6 months. Your worldview will change in that span of time. It will. Trust me. I've experienced this firsthand. I've experienced it. And also, speaking of toxic people and toxic environments, that's an episode I'm going to do. I'm going to do an episode on that entirely because I have a lot to say about that. A lot to say about that. And that will come down the road. But, and I think a lot of people can relate to toxic people and toxic environments, especially now that we have a president who enables people like him, who are toxic, who are arrogant, who are ignorant, who, all of that. We have a president who enables those kinds of people because he's one of them himself. So, yeah, I have plenty to say about toxic people and toxic environments. I'm going to do a whole episode on that down the road. Another thing, if there's something you want me to talk about that I haven't discussed here on this podcast or elsewhere, send me a message. Send me a DM through social media, through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. Let me know, and I'll do my best to talk about it here or elsewhere. But the large reason why I wanted to do this episode today was to get my thoughts out, just kind of talk through things because I've gone, like I said, a lot has gone on in my head as of late. And I'm going to do a written version of this as well on the blog because I've said before the blog and the podcast will work in tandem with one another. So what you usually hear on the podcast, you'll usually see on the blog and vice versa. So I also want to do a blog post about how I've been feeling and such. That'll hopefully come later this week. But if you have listened, you have made it this far, I genuinely appreciate you. You are loved. I do care about you. I'm grateful for you listening to what I have to say. That's the most important thing. Not a lot of people care about what I have to say. If you took the time to listen, I genuinely appreciate it. Do want you to follow the podcast because I'm going to make an effort, do my very best to post as often as more as I can because I only posted, I think, a couple times last year. We're going to try to do more this year than we did a year ago because, again, I find it ironic that this podcast is called I've Got Something to Say, yet I haven't had a lot to say lately. That is going to change. Like I said, we're going to do a complete episode on toxic people, toxic environments, how to keep yourself sane and keep yourself composed and calm in said environments and with said people. At least from my point of view. This is all from my point of view. So, once again, thank you for listening, taking the time to listen. Genuinely appreciate it. Leave me a comment. Follow me on social media. Just say what you got to say and then get the hell off. But I genuinely appreciate what you guys listening and reaching out and saying how much you like the podcast and whatnot. And hope to hear from you again down the road. But again, thanks everybody. And please take care of yourselves and each other. As the late Jerry Springer used to say, please take care of yourself and each other. So I'll see you around.